brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem. Elder Mikael, can you go ahead and open us up in prayer, please?
Our Father, most holy and true covenant, Elohim, and Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov. We give you thanks and all praise and glory unto you, Father Yahweh, Yeshua's holy and mighty name, because you are righteous, Father Yahweh. You allowed us, Father, to come before you, Father, and worship you, Father, to understand who you are, Father Yahweh, little by little bit. We give you thanks and praise for this, Father Yahweh, because you are freeing our minds, Father Yahweh, freeing our souls, Father Yahweh, filling our spirit, Father Yahweh, giving the strength, Father Yahweh, to understand how to walk in this world, Father Yahweh, so we can walk in your world, Father Yahweh. Give you thanks and praise, Father Yahweh, Yeshua's my name, for allowing us to be children of you, Father Yahweh. Thank you for your provisions, Father Yahweh. Thank you for your heart that you've given us, Father Yahweh. Thank you, Father Yahweh, for this word. Heavenly Father, we ask, Father Yahweh, Yeshua's name, Father Yahweh, Messiah, your Son, Father Yahweh, to allow my brothers, Father, to speak your word, Father Yahweh, by your spirit, Father Yahweh, to your ministry, Father Yahweh, not our ministry, Father Yahweh. Because, Father, we want your word to travel, be published to the four corners of the world, Father, to touch your children, Father Yahweh, and those who you want, Father Yahweh, to hear your word, Father Yahweh. Because it is about salvation, Father Yahweh. And we hope, Father Yahweh, in Yeshua's name, Father, that many receive this word, Father Yahweh, and understand you and worship you, Father Yahweh. We know, Father, you have your will, Father Yahweh, that many will not. So we give thanks and praise, Father Yahweh, for allowing us, Father, to be able, Father, to love you, Father Yahweh, and understand, try to understand your love for us, Father Yahweh. Heavenly Father, we ask Yeshua's holy and mighty name, Father Yahweh. Amen.
Amen. All right, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal, my brother Yonatan Yasharal, Shabbat Shalom. And the title of today's Shabbat study is True Blessings from Above. True Blessings from Above. And, one, I guess, slogan we'll hear or, see on people's license plates. People say, high, blessed and highly favored, or, blessed, and, things like that. And it's usually attached with some kind of material thing. And we say that, those things can be a blessing to us. Anytime you get something that's going to, increase favor in your life. But we have to examine, what is a true blessing, and how do we know the thing that we have received is a blessing from above? Because we're going to see in this study that the adversary, the devil, can bless people as well. And is that truly a blessing? Nah, if the adversary gives it to you, is not a blessing. Just like anything he gives you is going to be a lie. It's not going to be something that you can trust. So we want to examine that so that we can identify the things in our lives that are true blessings, so that we could know how to act accordingly, and how to act so that we can be more susceptible to receiving true blessings from above. We're going to open up in Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 10. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Brandon Pierce. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tanya, and Brother Isaiah. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Melvin Shelley. And we're going to open up in Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 10. And again, the title of today's Shabbat study is True Blessings from Above. Shabbat shalom, sister. How you doing?
Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 10.
Is mama there yet?
And verse 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, Shlomo. A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death. Yahweh will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casts away the substance of the wicked.
All right, so treasures of wickedness profit nothing. So you can receive things that you think are going to be, you know, some kind of jewel or gold or silver or, you know, a car, a house or whatever, and it's profitless. It does not profit you at all. It does not cause you to gain towards your salvation. It doesn't cause you to gain any kind of true favor from above. And then it also talks about, but righteousness delivers from death. And what verse are we on? We're on verse 4, right? Mm-hmm. And Yahweh cast away the substance of the wicked. So you can receive a blessing from the Most High and act in a way that is wicked, that the Most High will cause something that should have been a blessing for you to deteriorate. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. He that gathers in summer is a wise son, but he that sleeps in harvest is a son that causes shame. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked.
So you look at the things that are in the lives of those that are trying to walk according to righteousness, then you know that those things are going to be blessings. And then you might see certain things happen to servants that may appear as a downward situation, but that may be a blessing in their life. That may cause them to repent in a situation or change or be better in a situation. So it might be something that might seem like a curse to you, but to that individual, that be the very thing that brings them closer to the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 7. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. He that walks uprightly walks surely, but he that perverts his ways shall be known. He that winks with the eye causes sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall.
What is that? Let's look that up. A prating fool. Anytime they repeat something like that, we need to take a look at that. A prating fool. We know what a fool is. What's prating? What's the Strong's
running
number?
Off at the mouth. This is a 8193. H8193.
Safa. H8193. And that is spelled Saphah. Safa. And that is through the idea of termination, the lip. By implication, language. By analogy, a margin, a vessel, water, cloth, band, bank, binding, border, brim, language, lip, prating. So speech or talk. So the speech of a fool, or like you said, you know, somebody just runs off at the mouth, and you know anything that is in their heart just comes out their mouth without any thought.
Recently, I was revisiting that notion. People say, "I just talk. I don't have no filter." And that's just the prating fool. I don't have no filter. I just say how I feel. Mm-hmm. And you don't understand how those words will cause you to inherit a lot of iniquitous consequences by not filtering or not paying attention to what you say.
Well, if we read about that, it tells us specifically the heart is exceedingly wicked. Mm-hmm. What man could know it? So you know there's all kind of wickedness going on in your heart. If you don't have a filter in between that, and it just... you're just exposing all the stuff that's in your heart. And in a way, that might be good if you're around the right people, because then you can receive correction. But if you out here in public with people that don't care about you, you just looking like a fool.
Mm-hmm. There's even another proverb where it says, a fool counts himself more wise than 10 men with counsel.
Right.
He's more wise in his own sight than 10 men that know sound counsel. So like they just run off and they feel like what they're saying is like the law,
the end all be all.
The end all be all, and they don't understand that they need to put their words in the measuring scales.
Exactly.
You know, like, see if is this right? Is what I'm saying have a little iniquity in it? Be slow to speak and all those things that the scriptures put forth to help us be more aware and more discerning in the type of speech that we put forth.
Right.
Verse 11. The mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked. Hatred stirs up strifes, but love covers all sins.
Okay, so love covers all sins. This word is love. So when you keep the commandments, it covers your sins. When you rebuke your brother or sister that is in error, it's covering their sins. Love covers all sins. And this is why it also talks about that you hate your brother if you don't rebuke him, because you're not covering his sins. We're supposed to bear each other's burdens. But that don't mean that you're going to forever be there to cover all their sins, because it also says every man must bear their own burden. Yah will not be mocked.
You know that the interesting part of that as well, how it says love covers all sins. If you look at what were the commandments that they were keeping before Moshe came along, and you're like, what was it? You look at what was counted to Noah as righteousness, the fact that, you know, he cared about Yah, and he was diligent to serve humanity, or whatever it may be, or how did Abraham find favor? So when we look at the stuff that Yahshua was preaching, and we see like, what was it about this Melchizedek priesthood, or this Melchizedek covenant, that made it distinct from what the rest of the world was doing? But at the end of the day, we realized the whole world was supposed to be under Yah's covenant. The whole world was supposed to be under Yah's discipline and Yah's rule. And these priests were preaching more of like a stewardship. You know, care about the wilderness. You know, you can eat the meat, but pour out the blood. Like, it was very simple type stuff. You didn't get the real specifics until the law came on the mount, where Yah was like, look, all these nations think that they're righteous and they're not. I'm about to lay a specific law. I want Shabbats. I want circumcisions. I want to separate you, to let you know that your obedience will be counted as righteousness, not this general, oh, you know, let's just be nice to everybody. But at the same time, the base of all this law was that love, which was what Yeshua was preaching. He was preaching, you know, care for your neighbor, love your neighbor as yourself, like it was in Leviticus. Leviticus had it, but Leviticus also had more things to make us more set apart. Like, don't eat these at all. Don't eat, you know, so the base is that love. And if we do focus on that, we will get to the root of righteousness. Right. Like, in people's ignorance, you can still be righteous in the fact that, all right, there's a lot that I don't know, but let me first begin at caring for my neighbor, caring for the widow and the fatherless, all those basic things where y'all was like, I didn't even really ask your forefathers about sacrifice. Right. This is only done because I had to institute some
because you wouldn't be obedient. Yeah. So I had to put sacrifices.
I call it the sin absolvement plan. Where it's like, all right, look, I plan on using y'all, but y'all are just as filthy as the rest of the nations. So here's this Levitical priesthood. It's the Sin Absolvement Institute. Right. And if you follow these ways and of the covenants of these priests that I've set aside to do this, don't go slaughtering your lambs and stuff by your house. You have to bring it to this specific institute of restitution so that I can make you righteous again. Right.
Right. I mean, Yahshua was basically trying to get them to return back to the righteousness with Enoch. They all had the Abraham and all, they got that from Enoch. Indeed. You know, so they're trying to go back to that righteousness, but because of the fallen angels and all the spirits coming down, teaching these other nations to get away from Yah, they were learning all these advanced ways to be wicked, just like taking from the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. We didn't know how to do all that wickedness then. Indeed. So since that wickedness spread through the world, he had the dispensation of the law. When Yahshua came, he was just trying to get people to go back to the basics of the law, of righteousness. And that is to keep the commandments, to keep all the commandments. He wasn't trying to come here to create no religion or change. No, he's like, yo, come back. Y'all are in Jerusalem, but y'all ain't acting like Yehudim. Exactly. Come back.
Indeed. Glory to Yah.
Praise Yah.
Verse 13. In the lips of him that has understanding, wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding.
And that's when you see that slave with all that stuff on his back. He is symbolic. It says, because you were precious, because you were honorable, I will give people for you and men for your lives. So these people were given for us as a physical reminder of this rod coming to our back, like the shepherd with the rod that beats the sheep back into collective. Because once one starts going the wrong direction, the rest of them start going the wrong direction. Now you got a bunch of sheep that's going off into to get slaughtered by the wolves, the roaring lion that's waiting to devour.
And the scriptures say you're suffering for your own sins and the sins of your forefathers.
Right.
So that rod to the back wasn't just for our nation, but it wasn't just for those people at the time, but it was for the entire nation and the lineage of sin that was going on. And y'all was like, at this point in time, my people, that whole tribe is going to suffer for the sins of their forefathers.
Right.
And your own ignorance. Because if you had followed my ways, you wouldn't find yourself dispersed in all these countries like this.
And how long did we have to continue doing that wickedness before he did that? It wasn't like, oh man, I transgressed.
Yeah.
Slavery, countless times from a 7-day siege to a 70-day siege to a 7-year siege to a 70-year siege to 400 years. 400 years. So we forget that.
Verse
14.
14. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near to destruction. So if the mouth of the foolish is near to destruction and they speak their whole mind and they feel like, oh, I don't have no filter, they need to correct their ways, because that's a snare unto you. You get yourself in a lot of trouble like that.
And other people, if they listening to you.
Exactly.
One thing on that too.
It's gone.
People say that I gotta speak my mind, and when they, just on that thought, in a way, there's nothing wrong with speaking your mind, but how do you speak your mind? Did you think about before you spoke your mind? We all have that problem. Sometimes we get in an attitude where we say things we should not say. We think it's correct to say it, but it's not. Sometimes you feel a pressure behind you to say things because you're angry, or you feel righteous because somebody injured you. So you say things to injure them, or you think that you're saying the right thing. People say, well, I can say what I want to say. I believe I'm right. This happened, Yeah, but did you have to say it? It's like somebody else said, just because you thought a thing, did you have to say it?
Right.
Or just because you figured out how to create something, did you have to create it? Like, if I can venture forth on, I don't remember his name, but he regretted after he created the bomb.
Okay.
He created the bomb because it was a race, to create a weapon, because Germany was creating a weapon to destroy us and so forth, but also in Japan. But did you really have to create a weapon, destroy mass amounts of people? Just because you have the mentality to do something doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
Because after he did this, he was destroyed inside.
He saw the damage.
He saw what he created, really, and how it was used. So our words do the same thing. It's because we didn't grow up learning really how to filter our mouth, learning how to really show love for a person, learning how to listen. We jump forth and run our mouth too fast.
Right.
We quick to get angry, and I know I grew up like that. Quick to get angry and say things you shouldn't say. Or we wind up holding things inside for so long it boils over. And then we wind up saying things we shouldn't say because it wasn't directed properly.
Right.
So, yeah, these words, Yahweh is showing us, his laws are showing us how to conduct ourselves properly. Because if he made this world, and when wrong was done in the world, let's say the second time, when his son Cain killed his brother Abel, the world had pain when the blood hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
His blood cried out to Yahweh. So the world is alive. It felt that pain.
Right.
It was a wrong that was done. But if that brother would have understood the spirit of Yah when he had Yah, he wouldn't have injured his brother. He wouldn't have hurt his brother. He wouldn't have had the attitude, you understand, well, I'm right, I'm angry, you made me angry, so I'm going to kill you. Did he really know what death was, or did he get out of anger and wind up killing his brother? Because there was nothing that really died.
Right.
So these words in this book expounds deeper than just the word that's sitting on the page.
Right.
And if we thought about those things, maybe we can conduct ourselves better. That might be how you walk down the path of Yahweh, conducting yourself better and trying to hear what he has to say rather than what we feel our self has to
Right.
say.
And we're going to actually get in some of that when we get in Yaakov. All right. Shalom, brother Jose Villarreal Cardenas. Shalom, brother Larry Anderson. Shalom, sister Mae Johnson. And shalom, sister Ariel Smith. The title is True Blessings from Above. We're at Proverbs chapter 10. And what verse are we on?
Verse 15.
Verse 15.
The rich man's wealth is in his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. The labor of the righteous tends to life. The fruit of the wicked is to sin. He is in the way of life that keeps instruction, but he that refuses reproof errors. He that hides hatred with lying lips, and he that utters a slander is a fool. In the multitude of words there is want not sin, but he that refrains his lips is wise.
And this is part of what the elder was talking about here, just refraining your lips at times. And you have to, this is something even that I had to kind of address with my own self, early in my walk, was that, listen, who sent you? Who sent you these words? Was it your flesh or was it your spirit? And if you're trying to become of the spirit, then you can't let your flesh always speak for you. You got to learn how to refrain your lips. And we read in Ecclesiastes, no man has the power to retain the spirit. Yahshua was the only one where that spirit sat and stayed with him. That's it. So we know we're not going to be in the spirit all the time. So in understanding that, we might not be in the spirit, but we shouldn't lose the spirit, where we can say, all right, you know what? I'm angry. I'm about to my flesh is about to react. So let me just pull back. And early in my walk, I had to kind of be honest with myself and say, listen, you can't keep hiding behind the truth and saying, well, it's the truth. Yeah. This is the word says this. And I was just supplanting my carnal ability to chop somebody up with some words, whether it was in a freestyle, in a battle or whatever, or in a conversation or whatever, to destroy somebody. And I just replaced it with the word and hid behind the word. But at the end of the day, what was that the flesh or was that the spirit? Mm-hmm. So once I was able to recognize that in myself, I was able to say, okay, you need to be cognizant of whether you're in the flesh or whether you're in the spirit. And when you know you're in the flesh, okay, pause. And, I have a very quick reaction time. It don't take me that long to get back out of the flesh. But once you get in the flesh, then it's hard to come out. And that's all those arguments, the strife and envy and all that goes into it. Because once you get that ball rolling down that hill, then somebody else might be in the spirit. Now you pulling them out the spirit. So we got to work on that. And especially if you see somebody is in the flesh, you got to protect that spirit. You got to hold on to that oil. I don't got enough for you. I got to hold on to this right now. You know what I'm saying? Because you about to pull me out. My oil about to burn out.
There's a scripture in Sirach, or AKA Ecclesiasticus, and it says there's more shown to a man in a day than he's able to receive, right, or pay attention to. So knowing that, when in our youth we go through days, months, years, and we don't really pay attention to all that we're being shown in a day. And then in verse 17 it says, he that is in the way of life keeps instruction, but he that refuses reproof errors. Mm-hmm. Because daily Yah is showing us things and ministering to us. Yah knows so much more than we even barely understand. Right. When we know something and we want our children to know it, we're real zealous, come on, you gotta learn this math, come on, learn this trigonometry. And Yah's look, you gotta know the molecular level of, Yah knows how everything is getting done, and it's little microscopic tidbits of food that he just lets go on us in his mercy, knowing that if I give this servant too much, he may be too hardy, or if I give this servant too much, he may feel like the weight of righteousness is too much for him, so he'll just give up. So right. He has to do little bits. But if we incline our hearts to like, yeah, all right, I understand that there's a lot of knowledge that I just don't have. How can I make effective use of each day? Means that we do have to start weighing our words and like start drawing back everything that we're always trying to put out. We're always the ones making supplication, giving, and we need to like wait and like listen that still small voice, so to speak,
right?
Or discern like the nuances of life. And even in one day, there's just so much that y'all shows us, whether it be people that aren't even in the word, people who we associate with from day to day. There's little bits of things that y'all gives us because there's all this infinite knowledge, and there's just us in this like short 70, 60 years of life, 10 years of life that we get. Whereas the forefathers used to live like 600, 900 years, and we have to like cram all this in a little bit. But we'll realize when we start slowing our mind down and just pump the brakes a little bit instead of just joining the rat race like everyone else. Take a while to like, all right, I am working for worldly riches, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm devoting enough time to understanding that Yah's trying to give me heavenly riches for the right. time to come, that I'm just not a big dummy when the regeneration occurs, when the new kingdom is established. And then he weighs our soul in the scales, and was like, you don't got nothing. On earth, he was a rich man. All you do was oppress everyone.
Right.
But if we take this time now to like pump the brakes and say, all right, y'all, let me devote this short amount of time that I have on this earth to your understanding and to your righteousness, you realize that there really is a lot he shows us daily that we just blast through because
right.
our intention is somewhere else. Or like the scripture says, wherever your treasure is, there your heart. Wherever your heart is, there your treasure will be, or something to that extent. Mm-hmm. So if we put our treasures in the things of the world, we're gonna miss everything that y'all showing us. But if we put our treasures in understanding His word, our heart would be there, and then we'll realize when we put the day through our heart's filter, we realize, wow, y'all, you put all these jewels in here all day. Your prayer that you wake up with in the morning is like, yeah, I thank you for what you did yesterday. Show me what you got for today.
Right.
And then you don't try to fast forward life. You just be like, all right, let me take this time to take in what He has for today. And you see the gifts that He has hidden all over the place.
He said, was it in Proverbs? He said, worry about today. The evil today is sufficient enough.
Sufficient enough.
And this is part of trying to understand
for tomorrow.
Those true blessings that are in our lives, all those jewels and all those things, those falls that you have on a daily basis, that He opened your eyes to see. Man, I fell in this hole. Mm-hmm. That's a blessing, because tomorrow you ain't got to fall in that hole, because you like, and you can stop somebody. Bro, there's a hole right here.
Yes.
Trust me. Let's go around this way, and then look. You see, and you can do that. And these are the things, but we don't count those as blessings. This is aggravating. This is annoying. Oh, why can't things just go away? I want it to go. He's like, the donkey that you trying to get the donkey to go, and you beating the donkey, and he's like, bro, you don't see this angel with a flaming sword right here, bro? You. So this is why we have to learn and train our eyes to focus on the true blessings. Like you said, wherever your treasure is, there your heart is also. So where are you putting your treasure? On these things here that's going to deteriorate, or on the true blessings, which is anything that's going to cause you to be closer to obtaining forever life with Elohim?
Mm-hmm. And not to, restrain the class from progressing, but also focusing on the temporal things. What it causes is a hardness of heart, because the things of the world turn us into like a machine. So we get into these very rigid patterns from day to day. But the ways of the Spirit, if we discern it, it forces us to soften the heart, because we have to pay more attention to everything that's going on. So we have to release our minds from that captivity, and you're like, okay, let me allow certain things to happen. Let me discern more. Let me be more attentive to my day-to-day action. And that's how Yah helps remove that stony heart from us, where we're not paying attention to how somebody feels about something. We're not paying attention to how we can administer more love to the people that surround us. And we're losing the juice and the fruit out of life, because we just like strain out all the life, all the nourishing aspects of our day-to-day lives. But if we soften our heart, we'll be more diligent.
Right. Go ahead, Elder.
Just to sum it up on that point, we got a scripture right here that kind of pulls some of that together. Romans chapter 12. And it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service, because as he's saying that we are supposed to give love to our brothers.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to feed our brothers. We're supposed to give our brothers water. We're supposed to, clothe our brothers. We're supposed to, do the things that Yahweh said we're supposed to. It's just natural.
Mm-hmm.
But we were taught, a lot of times we were taught, oh, that's extra. You understand? I'm just doing something extra for you, brother. You not respect me. You understand? But we're supposed to give that level of love to our brother. If our brother's ox is in the ditch and you don't like your brother because he injured you, you still don't take it out of the ox. The ox didn't do you nothing. You
Right.
have to take that ox out the ditch and bring that ox back home to that man, next door. Maybe because of your actions that you gave glory to Yahweh, that man right there might see you in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You might not have to walk that man, even though Scripture just say you would not always get along with people, even though you try to do the best for them. And the next verse says, and be not confounded to this world. But see,
Right.
that's the thing. You just read it, and you're going to read the Scripture later on. If you, I don't know if we're going to go in this that chapter right there, but talking about, that the wicked is not going to inherit the earth.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that knocks down a whole lot of stuff. People think about they're going to be floating in the sky over here. No,
Right.
no. The righteous inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth, is what it said.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect, the will of Elohim. That means that if we consistently inundate ourselves with this word, believe in this word, and practice this word, as my brother was talking about before, we go off the handle kind of easily, because of how we was taught. And we have to learn how to change our attitudes and watch our mouth, close our mouth when we get angry, and think about the things that we're about to say, the actions we're about to make.
Right.
And it's wrong. Because sometimes you can't take them things back. So this is how we're supposed to renew our minds, by reading this word, bickering, practicing this word, and hopefully we'll give ourselves unto this word, that it will, cover us.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we step out our heads, we got no more covering. And we wind up doing this our own thing and creating our own problems in our life because we can't bridle our mouth.
Right.
So I just want to bring that point up because I think that's what we always going to. And Yahweh rolls those words together on how we're supposed to conduct ourselves.
Right. Right.
I like what he said about that as well, because what it brings to mind is that we were supposed to be stewards of the earth.
Right.
And if we're stewards of the
It's
earth,
a
that
reasonable
means
service.
it's our reasonable service to actually know these things. And as stewards of the earth, it means we have to. Yah gave us the ability to discern between the clean and the unclean, and that's how we are separated from the animals of the field that just
Right.
do whatever their flesh inclination is to survive. Whereas Yah has given us reason, Yah gives you wisdom, Yah gives you understanding, and He's expecting us to use that to the best of our ability and take joy in the fact that He's given us that and submit our whole body as a living sacrifice. He's not going to force us to use all the gifts, because at the end of the day, we're Ferraris and a lot of us don't know it, and we won't utilize the full capacity of the vehicle Yah has given us.
Right.
But once in a while, we have to get into this word and we'll learn how to use all 12 cylinders instead of just firing on one cylinder and putting diesel in our body. And that's not the way it's supposed to go.
Right. And Brother Mikael was talking about, how the earth, will be different and how the blood cried out, that was a great point. And also just to go fast forward and how people are looking to, go straight up to heaven and everything when it's talking about the meek shall inherit the earth. We got the new heaven and the new earth. And like you said, the animals have this instinct to attack and eat blood and do this and do that. And they're just going based upon their instinct. And man is doing the same thing. Just his instinct is, well, I like something, take it. I don't like something, fight, bark, yell, scream, do all these different things. And that's what's going to be changed. That's part of the new heaven and the new earth. The animals are not acting off of those instincts anymore. They're doing like what we have now, firing on 12 cylinders, being able to discern, like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to fight or bark or scream or attack a child that's putting his hands in the cockatrice eggs and stuff like that, because it's going to be peace. And part of that peace, if the animals is having peace, we have to be at that peace as well. And that's what we're training and learning to do, is to be at peace and to follow instructions, because once he institutes, there's no longer death. There's no going back. So, and he has to have peace on the earth. So if you're an individual that can't bridle your tongue and can't get along with people, then, and you're not going to be there, because Yah is perfect. Because if he did let you be there, then he would have to kill you after he said there's no more death. And then he would just be like the adversary of the devil, a liar. And he's so far ahead of us that you're not even going to make it there. So we got to learn now during this period is to receive the true blessings from above, which is to take the things that are going to help us be better individuals, help us follow instructions, and help us be stewards of peace and love amongst each other.
Hallelujah. Verse 16. The labor of the righteous tends to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. He is in the way of life that keeps instruction, but he that refuses reproof errors. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 18. He that hides hatred with lying lips, and he that utters a slander is a fool. In the multitude of words there wants not sin, but he that refrains his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is as choice silver. The heart of the wicked is little worth. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. The blessing of Yahweh, it makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it.
All right, so that's how you know the blessing of Yahweh. It makes you rich, but there's no sorrow with it for several reasons. Does that mean that the person that is blessed of Yah doesn't have sorrow in their life? No, because you can't help, because you still have loved ones that may not be walking according to it. But you get the peace of Yah. You understand how to deal with things better, because you understand Yah don't make mistakes, and all things are for the glory of the Most High. So you're going to get certain things in your life, and it's not going to be attached with sorrow, because even when you have to deal with certain things, you would be of a mind frame like Job. Yahweh giveth, Yahweh taketh away. So I was happy when he gave it. So I didn't question him when he gave it to me. So I'm not going to question him when he takes it away. So that gives you a level of happiness and being content in Yah. And shalom, Sister Cana, and also shalom, Sadiqwa, Kersey. Shabbat shalom, sisters. Go ahead.
All right. Verse 22. The blessing of Yahweh, it makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. It is as sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding has wisdom. The fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. As the whirlwind passes, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. As vinegar to the teeth, and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him.
And we are the ones that have been sent to be the ambassadors of the Most High and to teach the world righteousness. So it is like vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes. To Yah, to his children that are sluggards, that, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'll start on righteousness tomorrow. Kind of like how I've been with the gym. Yeah, I'm going to the gym this tomorrow. I challenge somebody else to go to the gym with me. They already done been several times. I'm still haven't gone. That's being a sluggard. But to be that way in your primary job, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your job doing that. And the Most High has hired us as servants to institute this righteousness in the world. So we can't be approaching this like sluggards.
When I look at the scriptures about when Yah first brought the temple, instituted temple sacrifice and things of that nature, and you look at the sons of Aaron, I think Aaron had like 4 or 5 sons. And they all saw when the glory of Yah came on the mountain. They saw that they met with him. The elders, the 70, however many elders, went up to the mountain. They saw like the sea of sapphire, or the sea, some crystal-like sea under his feet and all that. So they saw the glory of Yah. And Yah is having them do some orders, or it's like, all right, show me that you're worth what I'm about to do by your obedience. Submit to these ordinances. Do what I asked you to do. And they had the priest had an order they had to follow. They had to go through certain things. And one time the glory of Yah showed up and everybody was happy, and because they followed the order right, and Yah confirmed it by manifesting his glory with them. Like it was a sign unto them. And there was one time where his glory showed up, and two of the sons of Aaron started putting fire in the incense, and it was out of order. It wasn't in the order that he told them to do it.
Strange fire.
And just cut them off immediately.
Right.
And it was like, everyone was like, Aaron wanted to be sad, but y'all was like, don't you take off your hat, don't do nothing. You continue what you're doing. Because what it did is it sanctified Yah at that time, and it goes to show the requirements, what Yah requires when his presence is in the midst of you.
Right.
We're not ready for that. There's a level of order that he requires where you'll lose your soul doing certain things, because it's a direct transgression. So if we don't get used to being circumspect, if we don't get used to purifying our area and things of that nature, like if we want the spirit to be in our vicinity, we definitely have to be careful of what we put in our system, what we take in as far as reading books, music, things like that. The stuff we say, the things that make us unclean. Once Yah gives us the understanding of clean and unclean, he says, all right, this person is responsible enough now for a manifestation of my presence with them. Or like he said in, I think, Ezekiel, when Israel was ready for love, when the breasts were formed. So in the spirit, once we understand how to maintain a clean area, or once we understand how to maintain cleanliness within our own vessels, to some extent where Yah don't have to just cut us off for just complete disobedience,
right,
then for our sakes he'll manifest. If we're showing that the only fruit we know how to manifest is disorder, or the only fruit we know how to manifest is strife, or the only fruit we know how to manifest is uncleanness and slander and murmuring. Every time we have to do something that has responsibility, we always, like you said, I don't want to do this. I can't. I don't have the time for this.
Right.
If we haven't slowed ourselves down to be meticulous about the ins and outs of our lives, and we're not going to defend our vessels from attack, and we're not going to be soldiers of peace and maintaining peace and knowing when to move and when not to move. Like I was reading Dead Sea Scrolls just this morning, and I was talking about the order of the kings. The king was supposed to have Levites and priests in his vicinity and 12 heads of all the tribes to be with him, and he doesn't make a decision unless he's consulted with all those people. And he said, even those princes that were supposed to be in his vicinity, they said it's supposed to be men of devout truth that knew Yah's law, that forsook covetousness, that didn't care about the riches of the world. He was supposed to be surrounded by the upright, that even if he was wavering or if he stumbled and took too many wives or something like that, his counsel, and he wasn't even supposed to have
not to
multiply women.
Right.
But even if there was something that compromised his judgment, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be righteous judges. Even if we're not kings, we're supposed to know what it means to discern between the clean and the unclean, the righteous and the unrighteous. So if there's something that compromised his judgment, he still got about 100, 200 people around him that'd be like, king, that's not right. And it says so that he does not exalt, his heart does not exalt above the priests that are around him, because they study and he's making certain decisions where he can't do that, but they have to operate as a body. So once we see how far this thing can really go, when we look at our little insignificant lives, we'd be like, dang, y'all, like, how can I add up to this? He says, the word that I've given you is not far from you, but it's in your heart and in your mouth. So it's not a complicated thing. We just need to take time each day, pump the brakes, and start exercising certain disciplines and say, all right, Yah, have I created an environment where your spirit can rest with me and manifest itself with me in a way where it spreads to my vicinity, the people around, so that there's not chaos manifesting, because it can't manifest because there's an angel in the area to protect the space and defend it against invasion. Because all the wars that the children of Israel had, it was Yah that was doing it. He was like, y'all walk around, blow the horns, and I'll crush this wall. The angels were in the vicinity. So we have to do that same thing in our simplicity, in our simple lives before he brings us into that kingdom, that he's trying to maintain that righteousness, and it's not an on-off thing.
Right. Go ahead and finish that up, brother.
Brother Mikael, have a question?
Mikael, you had something?
You said not say a word when you walk around there. Keep your mouth shut.
Indeed. Verse 26. As vinegar to the teeth and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him. The fear of Yahweh prolongs days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened. The hope of the righteous shall be gladness, but the expectation of the wicked shall perish.
And people say, oh, well, this wicked person, Rothschild dude, he done lived to be 100 and something or whatever. So his days was long, yeah, but that's it for him. So the righteous, he might die at 30 years old and be beheaded, but he gonna live forever. He gonna inherit the earth. So when you know that you're not gonna inherit the earth afterwards, you gotta get it while you can now on this earth, because you know there ain't nothing in the future. So these people know that because they already done took a covenant with death. So they don't mind doing the wickedness, and matter of fact, they do further more wickedness, intentional devil practices to give them more power while they're here on the earth, because they know, just like the adversary, the devil, that's it for them.
Their reward is here because their heart is here.
Right.
The way of Yahweh is strength to the upright, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. Verse 30. The righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. The mouth of the just brings forth wisdom, but the froward tongue shall be cut out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked speaks frowardness, iniquity.
All right. Let's go to Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 28, and we're going to read 1 through 14. Shalom, Sister Marie and Dante Johnson. Shabbat Shalom. 28. We're going to go to the part of Deuteronomy we rarely ever read. And 28. When we talking about Deuteronomy 28, we ain't never really talking about 1 through 14.
Israel.
That's the blessings, because it be, be about this long in your book. And then it goes from here all the way to the next pages down of when you don't listen, because y'all hard-headed, y'all not going to listen. These are the things that are going to hold on to you. But we rarely go into here and see because somebody had sent us a message and asked specifically, like, yo, how do I know the blessings of Yah? And he said, I went in Deuteronomy and I looked at, Deuteronomy 28 and looked at that, and you see the blessings are there. Because these are the things that are supposed to be on us. When you have a father, just say your father is Bruce Lee or something. Mm-hmm. You figure, okay, my son, he gonna be blessed with martial arts skills. He gonna be on point. Jeet Kune Do, he gonna know all that, because I'm gonna make sure you have all that. I'm gonna teach you all these things. But then he go in there, he throwing these horizontal punches like this, which is a no-no in Asian and African martial arts. We don't punch like this. That's the Gentiles. That's Greeks punch like this. It's stronger to punch this way. This is where your strength is. But your son, he's sitting doing this, and he flat-footed and doing all this stuff. You're like, but this is why you keep getting punched in the face, because your footwork sucks. I'm giving you all these instructions. You're supposed to be blessed. You're supposed to have the Golden Glove champ. You're supposed to be undefeated. You're supposed to be, keeping people safe around you. You're supposed to be, being respected in the community, teaching other young brothers how to be, a strong nation. But instead, you picking up all these curses when they tell you this is what happens. When you punch like this, you setting yourself up to get your legs pulled up from under you, because you're leaving your whole body exposed. So you learning all that, because that's what's happening to you. You getting dropped on your back. Your whole back is messed up because your punch is flawed, because you're punching the wrong way. All these things. So this is what we experiencing out of Deuteronomy 28, when we supposed to be like Bruce Lee's son, that supposed to be, perfect in all these different ways. So these are the blessings that came with the covenant that we agreed. These are the things that said, yeah, we'll do. Yeah, Yahweh, all that you said, we'll do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, even at these blessings, blessings are a condition that we all want, and that all Israel wanted, but they wouldn't do what it took to maintain it.
Right.
And it goes to show that even though they knew what the blessing was and that everyone wanted it, if you don't put yourself through that discipline, mm-hmm. Same way if you don't change the oil in the car, if you don't change the tires, you're going to find yourself in ruin. So y'all couldn't even go into full detail about this blessing. There's still even more that he, like we said, there's even more eye has not seen, ear has not heard, even more of these blessings because we don't maintain the car to go far enough.
Right.
We only got the first 3 miles. We only reached the first rest stop. We don't know what the rest of the road holds because we don't do what it takes to maintain the peace and maintain what it takes to have a blessing.
And like you said, we don't know. He gave us this to start with. He said, here, look, start with all these blessings. And we couldn't maintain it, so we didn't even get to really see, like you said, how fast. Man, the car go 200 miles an hour. You still in first gear. But you had the brand new car. You had everything. You had the Bugatti. You had everything, but then you done jacked it up.
Yeah.
You done put regular gas in it and all kind of stuff. Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 28, we're going to read 1 through 14.
And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahweh your Elohim will set you on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on you and overtake you, if you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim.
So you being high above all the nations of the earth is supposed to be a blessing to you. Supposed to be. But it can be a curse to you as well when you high above all nations and everybody's looking at what you do and you doing wickedness. Yahweh got to deal with you quick, swiftly, and hard. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, and the increase of your kine, and the flocks of your sheep.
So if we kept these commandments, blessed shall we be when we in the city, and blessed shall we be in the field. So that means whether we in the country or whether we in America or whether we in Jerusalem or wherever we is, if we keeping these commandments, those blessings are supposed to be here. But if you're not keeping the commandments, you're not going to pick up and reroute yourself and move to LA and all of a sudden you're going to be blessed. Or you're going to move to Atlanta and say, we're going to come to Israelite gathering and you're just going to be blessed. No, same thing if you take yourself over there to Israel. If you're not living according to these commandments, you're just bringing your curses with you over there. And if the land is not being governed by the commandments, you're not going to get peace there either. You're just moving from one bad situation to the next. But at least you can say, hey, I'm in LA, or, you know, I'm in Israel. You can take some nice pictures. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Blessed shall be your basket and your store. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. Yahweh shall cause your enemies that rise up against you to be smitten before your face. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways.
And it says your enemies, period. Your enemies could be anywhere. So wherever you are at, if you are living according to these commandments, you will receive these blessings where these enemies are not going to be able to come against you because they think they coming against you. They coming against Yah. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Yahweh shall command the blessing upon you in your storehouses and in all that you set your hand to. And he shall bless you in the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. Yahweh shall establish you a holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto you, if you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim and walk in his ways. And all people of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of Yahweh, and they shall be afraid of you. And Yahweh shall make you plenteous in goods, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which Yahweh swore unto your fathers to give you. Yahweh shall open unto you his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto the land in his season, and to bless all the work of your hand. And you shall lend unto many nations, and you shall not borrow. And Yahweh shall make you the head and not the tail. And you shall be above only, and you shall not be beneath, if that you hearken unto the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you this day, to the right hand,
to observe and to do them. Verse 14.
And you shall not go aside from any of the words I command you this day, to the right hand and to the left, to go after other gods to serve them.
All right. So we should have been the head only and not the tail. We should have always been in charge and at top. So when you have somebody, there is, just like if you take a king, or just say, you know, who's the greatest king? King David, for example. We think of King David. And you have his son, King David's son is supposed to be, he's a prince. He's supposed to be prepared to be a king. Now you take King David's son and you put him in you know, like the guy who gave away, spent his inheritance and he had to go eat the husks from the pigs and all that type of stuff. Don't no father want to see their child like that. That hurts the father more than it hurts the child going through that. Because he's like, the father's peers or people that know the father or co-workers or people that work looking like, man, ain't that your son? He out there with the pigs eating husk. Why he ain't here eating the good food? Why he not living this kingly lifestyle? So this is what we are forcing Yahweh to do, to put us in that out here amongst the swine, because that's where we're these uncircumcised, unclean heathens, acting like them, begging for bread, begging for food, don't shoot and all this stuff. This is what we are forcing Yah to do to us. But because he has so much love for us, he's like, listen, y'all got to do that, because if y'all don't learn as a nation, all of y'all getting put away. And that's not going to happen. So you're going to have to go through this. And just like I said in the beginning, y'all going to wake up. Y'all going to return back to these blessings. But you're not going to just return to those blessings without going through these curses. Because unfortunately, that's how we learn.
Can I give a little verse in there right quick?
Before we do that, I want to just go into the Hebrew word for blessings real quick. The Hebrew word for blessings is barakah. Barakah, which is H1293. Barakah, spelled Berakah. Barakah. And that's from H1288, which 1288, I'm just guessing will be what, Barak? I'm
Probably.
assuming. But benediction, by implication, prosperity, blessing, liberal, pool, present.
Yeah, Barak.
Barak. Yeah, that's what I figured. All right, so blessings. Elder,
What was that? H what?
H1293. Barakah, spelled Berakah. And the root word of that is Barak. Barak. H1288. And that's benediction, by implication, prosperity. So our whole idea of prosperity has been jacked up. We think prosperity, you got a nice house, a nice car. No, that's not necessarily prosperous if that's pushing you further away from salvation. Go ahead, Elder.
Just a quick comparison. I mean, this is not dealing with, father and so forth like that, but it's dealing with a level of respect. When Daniel was accused, of praying and so forth, and 3 times a day and so forth, when the council of the king at that time tricked the king into making a law that if nobody if anybody doesn't follow and bow down when they play the psaltery and salt button,
Right.
and ring the bells for it to bow out to that certain god, that they'll be dealt with, And well, make a long story short, he had to get thrown in with the lions, something like that. Well, they tricked the king on that, and the king already made that decree. So he couldn't take it back because his word came out of his mouth and became law.
Right.
Same as our Father. Our Father Yah said a thing, he cannot take it back, so he has to conduct his business by his word.
Right.
So he's hoping that, his children would listen to the word and follow suit so he doesn't have to press judgment on them. And when you're dealing with that young brother that went out and spent his inheritance and ran buck wild in the world and wound up having to succumb to eating pig slop, you understand? He came to himself and said, why am I doing this? Why do we have to take so long to come to that conclusion of why am I doing this?
Pride. Right.
That's right.
Blindness.
But yet that king had to follow suit and believe. And what did he say? That hopefully
your Elohim will
save you.
Right.
Yeah, will take care of you, save you. And by that little belief, faith, respect, gave Yah glory. Gave Yah even more glory. Because Yah did save his servant, because his servant was what? Obedient. It tells you, keep the commandments. Worship Yahweh. Confess your sins. Repent. Do what is right. As we supposed to learn what Yahweh teaches us. Yahweh will exalt us in due time. We don't exalt ourselves.
Right.
So the king, who basically is a pagan, you understand, gave Yah glory for honoring his servant in
Right.
words, because he couldn't do it in deeds right now, because he made a law and he has to look good before his people. He can't be a wimp, so to speak, for his people. But yet Yahweh took care of his servant, and it made the king's heart become elated, because his prayers was also answered.
Mm-hmm.
So he wound up throwing all the men that falsely accused that brother
And their families.
right. in the pit. So you died, and servant Daniel did not die, but all your families died. So Yahweh is the same way. He doesn't want his children, his servants, to pay that hard price.
Right.
He wants his servants to be blessed, because he loves that's his children.
Right.
Like you said, no man wants his children, to be eating pig slop. You understand? That hurts the father when you do that.
Right.
But that's how Yahweh sees it. He's trying to warn us left and right. He's trying to teach us left and right. But we are so hard-headed to do it our way that don't realize we fall out the hedge, and the law falls and smacks us.
Right. Right.
So I just want to bring that point up, and it encompasses, 2 or 3 different things, but it's better to understand things with different, how you say, we call them, comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 spirits and stuff are conducting this information toward us, and they say, this is real, this is real, this is real, this means this. It's the same thing, it's just in different families, they're telling the same meaning. How we're supposed to learn to conduct ourselves, or we're going to wind up getting ourselves in trouble and injuring our Father in the process. Right,
right. Let's move on. Let's go to Yaakov, James chapter 1. James chapter 1. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Hector Ortiz. What's up, cuz? James chapter 1. Yaakov chapter 1.
James chapter 1. Yaakov chapter 1.
James is towards the end of the Old Testament. The end of the New Testament. Mm-hmm.
All right. Yaakov, a servant of Yahweh and of the Master Yahshua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings.
So where are the 12 tribes?
Scattered abroad.
All right, they're not all in America. They scattered abroad. Go ahead.
My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Elohim, that gives to all men liberally, and upbraids not, and it shall be given him.
All right, so when it's given unto him, what people like to believe is that, take this out of context. Well, that's why I don't study with nobody. That's why I don't listen to. That's why I don't have no teacher. I just know these things. Well, if that was the case, then what he got priests for? What he got teachers for? What we need to go through all this on earth for? Why would he just put it in our brains and then we just all righteous? So obviously you're going to have to go through the order of things. You're going to have to get some of this wisdom and knowledge through your own individual study, but also through your teachers, your elders, your brothers, your sisters, your peers, even your children. Go ahead.
Verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Elohim, that gives to all men liberally, and upbraids not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavers is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed.
So we want that wisdom, we want that understanding. You can read in a book and get the knowledge of a scripture that This, you should do this when this happens. You got that. You can read that. But the wisdom and the understanding of the wisdom and knowing when to apply that and the understanding of using that to evade transgression, sometimes that's going to come with experience, with the trying and the proving of your faith, which is going to work patience. Those are blessings in your lives. The trials that we go through, the things that we had to overcome, even the falls, the embarrassment, all those different things are blessings. But we don't see it as that. We don't treat those things as blessings. If that causes you to walk a more narrow path, that's a blessing. But again, we waver with that. Well, I'll take that blessing if it comes in the package of a nice car, a beautiful woman, a nice house, money in my pocket. But when it comes to getting the crap smacked out of me, I can't deal with that. But if that was the thing that was going to save your life, then that's a blessing. And we have to train our people and teach our children to understand that concept. That is a blessing that I'm whooping your little behind right now. Because I'm whooping your little behind so you don't have to grow up and be a woman in the street trying to sit there and talk smack to a police officer and get shot over a taillight. Go ahead.
Verse 7. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of Yahweh. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withers the grass, and the flower thereof falls, and the grace of the fashion of it perishes. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which Yahweh has promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempts he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed.
Now, people try to use that as a contradiction. Oh, well, he tempted Abraham, or he did this, or he did that. First of all, he's trying his servants. And Elohim is not the one that's tempting anybody. There's a situation where he said, who can convince Ahab to go against Yehu? It was Ahab and Yehu, right? And one of the spirits said, oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. Well, how are you going to do that? He said, I'll be a lying spirit. He said, and you will be successful. So if Yah will use the good and the evil, if you want to be evil, he'll use the evil to go do certain things and test, just like the great tempter, the adversary, the devil. Is always trying to tempt you. And Yahweh will allow that because at the end of the day, it's going to polish and improve his servant. But that's not Yahweh doing that. He's not trying to tempt you. He's trying to give you instruction. He's trying to lead you in the way. Go ahead.
Verse 10.
14.
Oh, okay, cool. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust has conceived, it
Hold on. We're in James, Yaakov, chapter 1. And we are start that back at verse 13. James, Yaakov, chapter 1 and verse 13.
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim, for Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempts he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust has conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, brings forth death.
All right, so it is our own lust. You can't say, Yahweh, he just keep everything that's going to tempt me away from anything. Well, there'll be no women around you. There'll be no people with good things and other brothers that have worked hard to achieve certain things you want to achieve. All those things would just have to be removed from you. If he's going to just remove you from your lust. No, you need to remove the lust about you. There's, what is it? James 4, I believe, goes and say, hey, when a man is, you ask and you receive not because you ask amiss, because you want to consume it on your lusts. So a lot of great things that would be blessings in our lives, the Most High, because he loves us, is like, nope, you can't have that. You can't have that. Just like some of these brothers, they want these multiple wives. That could be a blessing for you. But for most of us, that's probably going to be a curse because we can't keep one family together. We can't keep our own self together. Much less learning to come together with another individual, not adding a third. So this is why, like, certain blessings, he got to keep away from us because that's supposed to be a blessing. When you have two situations going on, that's supposed to be a blessing. But if you got fighting and bickering going on in your house and jealousy and can't nobody grow out of that, then that's a curse. That's not a blessing. And that's just an example of things that can be curses in our lives because of the lust of our flesh. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning.
Every good gift and perfect gift. It could have been a good gift and a perfect gift, but you messed it up. You messed it up with the lust of your flesh, or you refuse to humble yourself and give the glory unto the gift giver. You want to give the glory unto the gift. And when you do that, you're taking something that was a blessing from above, and you're allowing the adversary to take credit for it now. Because now this is not a gift from Yahweh. Now this is a gift from the adversary, the devil. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man works not the righteousness of Elohim. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word which is able to save your souls.
All right, so wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man works not the righteousness of Elohim. That's so simple. That's some simple instructions, ain't it? Right. Till that person start running off at the mouth. Then all of a sudden, that flesh wants to take over because, I got this. We about to get in a fight. My turn. Tag me in. Let's go. No, the spirit is supposed to be there when it's time to go to war. That's when it is. Or when a brother is about to kill himself in the spirit, and you got to say, bruh, like in Jude, sometimes you got to pull somebody out the fire. You an idiot? What are you doing? Come here. You got to do what you got to do. But when somebody's having a calm, collect conversation, that's not the time for that. You're going to run somebody off. Let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Matthew chapter 4, because I made that comment about how the adversary can bless you. We're going to validate that. Matthew chapter 4. And when the adversary will come and try to attack you is when you have got fresh off that immersion. You just got this new Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, with you, the comforter. You have made your covenant. You have signed the contract with Yahweh and through this word, through Yahshua, and you ready to walk in this new being. Here comes the adversary, the devil. I can bless you. I can bless you. I can give you all these things. Or you're different now. You got the spirit. You ain't like everybody else. So when you do it, it's different than when they do it. So this is when he tries to test you. And people think that once you get immersed or baptized, they call it, once you get immersed, that all of a sudden your problems just disappear. No. You just went into the game. You just stepped into the war. Before that, you was on the sideline training, getting ready to go to war because you knew you was going to get ready to go to war. But now you got that issue. You got that camouflage. You a soldier now. So when you at war with somebody and they see somebody with camouflage on, they shooting first, asking questions later. They not trying to say, are you in the act of trying to be at war, or are you just a soldier that's just, ready to war? They don't care. You got the uniform on. And now you got that spiritual uniform. You got the Holy Spirit. You got that wedding garment on. As long as you don't defile it, you have that on. So now here comes the attack. So if he's going to attack if the adversary is going to attack the head, what you think he's going to do to the body? Any good boxer is going to go for your head for the knockout. But he can't get to the head. What he going to do? He going to start chopping that tree down. Boom, boom, boom. He's going to come start tearing that body up so that you let your guard down. Now he can get to the head. So we the body. So he couldn't knock the head out. So where do you think he going? The body. Matthew chapter 4, and we're going to read 1 through 11.
Then was Yahshua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if you be the Son of Yahweh, command that these stones be made bread.
The tempter. That's who's tempting you. The adversary, the devil. Yahweh not tempting you. He's trying you. And he's allowing the adversary to use the temptation to try you.
But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh.
See, that's the blessing. The blessing is there, is the word that was given unto us to navigate and walk properly. But when we are hungry, or we are angry, or we are agitated, the word now all of a sudden becomes a curse. I don't want to deal with this word. It's not applicable. And Yahshua is showing you right here, man, he done fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Now the adversary is attacking him. He not having no conversation with him. Lucifer, man, why? Satan, what do you mean? Why do you want me to make this? No, he said, man, scriptures. Man shall live by every word that comes from the Elohim's mouth, not just bread alone. Go ahead.
Verse.
Mm-hmm.
His body is weak, and we speak that word is feeding him right now. Anything else, he will go into his flesh.
Right. And after you fasted 40 days and 40 nights, you better be careful how you eat.
That's right.
You'll kill yourself. You see how it be, you know, that first year you do atonement. And you oh my God, I didn't eat. Oh, and then as soon as that sun goes down, you feel good for about 5 minutes. Then all of a sudden you got the worst headache out this world. Your stomach hurt, all these different things. So the adversary know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 4 and verse 5. Then the devil takes him up by the holy city and sets him on a pinnacle of the temple and says unto him, if you be the Son of Yahweh, cast yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against the stone.
All right. So here's a different test. And one thing my mom always told me, which I always liked, she said, you don't study the devil. Don't study him. Don't study what he does. Study Yahweh. Study what he does. Study the Most High. So I never really went into trying to study the devil and all the devil things that they do and all that. I never went into that. But what you will see here in Matthew 4 is you're seeing a game plan. Just like when you get ready to go face another team, you know, you pull up their plays and you look, see, they like to run this play and they do that and they do this. So you're seeing how the adversary operates. The first level attack is your flesh. Pain, hunger, envy, the things inside that you want that's got to satisfy the flesh immediately. So that was the first level of attack. Okay, he's mastered his flesh, obviously, because he went 40 days and 40 nights. The next attack is his pride. Oh, if you, the Son of Man, if you, the Son of Yahweh, you should be able to throw yourself off. You know, you bungee jump without a cord and you'd be straight, right? This is how Yahshua deal with him. Verse 7.
Yahshua said unto him, it is written again, you shall not tempt Yahweh your Elohim.
All right. He didn't say, yeah, I'm the son. Yeah, I'm son of Yah. Man, you know who I am. I ain't got to justify myself, bro. Listen, do not tempt Yahweh your Elohim, period. Answer them with scriptures. Man. So the pride ain't getting to him. Go to the next level.
Again, the devil takes him up to an exceeding high mountain and shows him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, all these things will I give you if you will fall down and worship me.
All right, here's the next level. Your ambition to be righteous, your ambition to be great amongst the children of Yahshua. Because when you are above and high above everything, you know, Yahshua knows that I have this job to be above everybody, to be a covering for everybody, to be in charge, to rule this righteous government. The adversary know that Yahshua finna rule in the sabbatical kingdom. He knows that all this is coming. He knows this already belongs unto him. And this is why you can't listen to the adversary, the devil. He likes to get up in your mind and tell you all these things that are not true, because that's a lie. This don't belong to the adversary, the devil. Yahshua created this. How are you going to come to me and say, look, You see these little 4 children here that I had part in creating? You're going to bring them to me and say, listen, you see these 4 beautiful girls that look just like you? I can give them to you. All you got to do is fall down. And what you mean you going to give me my children? What's wrong with you? But see, when you sit here trying to listen to the adversary, the devil, everything he says is a lie. That's why you don't listen to him. You get right into this book. And how you know the adversary, the devil, is because he is exactly what that means. Satan means adversary. It's adverse to the truth. So when you hear something adverse to the truth, don't even listen to it. I don't hear nothing you got to say. This is adverse to the truth. And how I know? Because I'm going to state the scripture that's adverse to what you're saying. Now I know that's even going to further clarify, and hopefully it will help you realize you adverse. So how does he respond to him? Verse 10.
Then said Yahshua unto him, Get you hence, Satan, for it is written, You shall worship Yahweh your Elohim, and him only shall you serve. Then the devil leaves him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him.
All right, them angels could have came in any given moment and ministered unto him. But nah, you here for an example for the rest of the people. So this is the same thing with us. This is why he don't just make the devil flee from us every time he comes around. I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to let that spirit sit there for a little bit and let you figure this out, how to deal with this. This is all part of your training.
You know, looking at it here, you can see that the enemy tends to a rebellion of soul, like a rebellious spirit, because all the angels like had their orders and their dispatches and the commands that they had to do. And you read about like the little bits of the prophets when they speak about Satan and the enemy, and talk about, you know, you fill the sanctuaries with violence until iniquity was found in you. You want to ascend above
Killed your people, all that.
You want to ascend above the throne of Yah. And then when he presents himself to the Son of Yah, you realize what Yahshua did was relinquish his celestial power for human form, you know. And whenever he did manifest a miracle or such thing, you hear him say, like when he had to resurrect Lazarus, like he's only asleep for now, but this has only happened so that you can see the glory of Yah. Right. So Yah had pre-prepared certain miracles for him to do to manifest it. Here comes the Satan out of nowhere. Hey man, turn these stones to bread. Just like
ain't nobody around who's gonna see the glory and be converted and have faith because of that.
It's not for the spirit. It's not for no one's edification. Right. It's Yahshua flexing and transgressing his orders for the sake of satisfying his soul. So and not waiting on Yah to say, okay, boom, here's some bread, or here's someone that came into the wilderness to minister unto you, like the raven that he sent to Elijah, you know, things like that. So the enemy is like he's playing like a celestial being type battle. Like you remember what it was like to do these things, you know. Right. Just you don't gotta listen to Yah. And at the end of all these temptings, he shows what it was for. Amen. Just fall down and worship me. Right. Instead of just trying to like disguise.
Get to the point.
Yeah, instead of trying to disguise all these subtle rebellions that he was trying to tempt Yahshua to do. But Yahshua showed the example, like, look, yeah, y'all gave me all this glory and all this power, but it didn't get to my head for me to be doing all this stuff out of order. Because we saw what he did to Aaron's sons when they did stuff out of order. Right. I'm not going to do that either. And you're not going to forfeit the sacrifice of all the children of Israel for the sake of my pride. I have no pride. I came here for humiliation and humility in the midst of everyone. I didn't come here to lord myself over people or to manifest all these magical powers. At the end of the day, it will be performing magic or performing sorcery if it was done out of Yah's order.
Right, spiritual flexing. And you look here, the devil left them. Again, you know, when you go into that fight, you going straight for the head. You going for the knockout blow, the haymaker. You throwing that haymaker, don't work. All right, now I got to move to the body. I got to move around. I got to take some jabs. So he went for the head, and he tried the head. It didn't work. He left them. So that means when the adversary come after us, we not that important. All you got to do is resist him. He going to flee from you. You ain't that important where he got to say, you know what, I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to get this guy to sin because he's going to lose his salvation. You know, he's not going to he don't care about you. Ain't that important. flee from him. He'll flee from you if you reject him. And the thing is, while we in that process, it's just like lifting weights. It's just like when it's heavy, it's like, it's real heavy. But once you put it, you've lifted it up and you put it down, it's like you done, you good. You got the work in that you needed to get. And that's how it is dealing with resisting adversary, the devil. You resist him, it's hard, like, and then when you get over that hump, he's gone. There it is, you're good to go. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews chapter 12.
There's a some verses in Sirach chapter 2 that I have open right here that pretty much go in line with scripture we just reading.
Let's get into it.
It says,
what is it?
Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 2.
Okay.
And it says, my son, if you come to serve Yahweh, prepare your soul for temptation. Set your heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in times of trouble. So don't go running in order to deliver yourself. Do all these things out of patience, knowing that you're here for tempting and testing and trial and temptation. You're here to be reformed.
Right.
Cleave unto him and depart not away, that you may be increased at your last end. Whatsoever is brought upon you, take cheerfully, and be patient when you are changed to a low estate.
Right.
For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he will help you. Order your way aright, and trust in him. You that fear Yahweh, wait for his mercy, and go not aside lest you fall. You that fear Yahweh, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. You that fear Yahweh, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy. Look to the generations of old and see. Did ever any that trust in Yahweh and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For Yahweh is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering, very pitiful, and forgives sins, and saves in time of affliction. Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goes two ways, the double-minded. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believes not, therefore he shall not be defended. And just with James, and it says, to him that believes not, he's like a wind tossed.
Right.
He shall not receive anything.
No, he's reading out the Apocrypha. That's not in here.
Woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will you do when Yahweh shall visit you? They that fear Yahweh will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways. They that fear Yahweh will seek that which is well pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. They that fear Yahweh will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight, saying, we will fall into the hands of Yahweh and not into the hands of men. For as his majesty is, so is his mercy.
Right.
This is the apocryphal book, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 2.
Yeah, the one thing that stuck out to me is, the man that is brought down to a low estate, be content in that, be happy, because he's training you for something.
Yeah.
You got to understand how to be a servant before you can be a king.
Indeed.
Even the prince is under tutors until it's time for his kingship. And sometimes, you put in a position where you weren't quite ready, but you needed to be in that position to see you weren't ready. So that when you go back down to a lower state,
a little bit.
You go down to a lower state, you realize, okay, some of these things I missed down here that I was supposed to get down here.
Wow.
And have faith that I trust in Yah. I know this is for my good. He's not doing this to kill me. He's doing this to make me better. So when I'm in, and this is where humility comes in, because everybody else on the outside looking and saying, oh, wow, look, he used to be up here. Look, he's down here now. Aha. Like they say, aha. They like to say, right?
Yeah.
He's down here. He down here. But you're supposed to be humble and say, hey, listen, Yahweh put me up here. He put me down here. So did I think it was a mistake when he put me up here? Or did I think it was a mistake when he gave me this? No. So it's not a mistake that he put me here. So let me examine my actions that could have played a part in this and make sure while I'm down in this estate that I do what I need to do so Yahweh can exalt me. Because when he exalts me back to where I'm going to be, man, I'm in the hands of Yah. I'm not worried about the hands of man, because even if man does something to me, Yah allowed that to happen. And I trust Yah. I don't trust man, but I trust Yah.
You know, and there was something I had to counsel myself out of, where we suddenly have faith when everything is going our way.
Right.
You know, be like, oh yeah, you know, or something favorable happen where Yahweh exalts you to some high position.
We like those blessings.
Yeah, thank you. He's blessed. And then I remember something happened, and it was something to that extent happened. I was like, all right, I'm happy in my heart because something I feel is good happened. So what about when something I feel is negative happened? Am I still gonna know how to, you know, give Yah the glory and the praise in that situation? And I started like counseling myself, like, all right, don't just look to be lifted up and look for exaltation and look for promotion. Endure whatever situation Yah puts you in.
Content in Yah, regardless.
Knowing that up, down, left, right, it's all in front of Yah's view.
Right.
We're sometimes deceived because we want the glory of men. We want people's esteem. And those things are good. You know, those things are the glory of men. You know, this temporal life that we have, you know, the little materialistic things, Yah will give you those things. It's not like we have to shun them, but don't give your heart over to them. But Yah will add those things for increase unto you, you know, add glory unto you. But when he takes it away, don't look at him like, oh, Yah, I'm not blessed today. Like, no, in abundance and in lack, Yah's mercy has not changed. It's just for your refinement and for your discipline even, and for your growth, that Yah would have all these things happen to you and you'll learn how to be content in all situations.
Right. And we had a comment from Sister Sadakwa Kirsi. You know, she's saying, you know, that's how she feels about her cancer journey. Wow. And, you know, just in looking in that, well, praise Yah. Yah be with you, you know, that you successfully, according to his will, be able to overcome that journey. And just sitting in this room right now, we have a cancer survivor that people don't even know about. People don't even know. So these are all things that we go through in our lives that are for Yah's glory. And like you said, a trained servant has to learn how to be content in those situations and look for how is Yah getting the glory in this situation. How is he getting the glory? He don't get no glory by knocking me down and I'm suffering and I'm crying. He's like, yeah, that's good. Because
now you're humble.
Yah doesn't take pleasure in the murder or the punishment of the wicked. He takes pleasure in judgment, but not in the hurting people part. So we have to look at those things. How is Yah going to get glory? And we can't be the one to decide how. We only want him to get glory this way. When we get the Lamborghini, then that's it, Yah. That's the only glory
now
you're going to give
I'm
me.
Blessed.
That's it. No, he also gets the glory when you are knocked down because of your own actions. And then you humble yourself and you still praise Yahweh in that. And when he exalts you back, because he will exalt you back once you deal with your chastening, and we're going to read through this in Hebrews, he will return your estate like he did with Job. Now he's getting even more glory because look, my servant didn't just serve me and wasn't just praise Yah, hallelujah, halal Yah when I gave him the Lamborghini. He also is praising me, or I gave him the 12 children, the 7 children. I praised him then, but I also praised him when I lost all the 7 children. You know, because guess what? I know Yah. I know the Shem of Yah. He's not going to leave me childless. He replaced all the children. He replaced all those things. So this is the part that he got to train in young servants, especially to learn how this works, that it's in the glory getting business is what Yahweh is in. And when we shape our lives, say, look, we are his glory. We are his glory. Not for me to take the glory, but he gets the glory through us. So how can I walk to make sure that Yah is getting his glory in my everyday walk? So we're in Hebrews chapter 12. And let's start this at verse 1.
Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed with so great a cloud of witness, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who, for the joy that was set before him, endured the stake, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest you be wearied and faint in your minds.
And it's a contradiction of sinners against himself, because a man didn't sin, but yet he's facing the punishment of a sinner. That's contradictory.
And endured it.
So how, if he can endure that, that's when we think, when we deal with a situation, man, you know, well, I didn't do anything. I'm getting punished for not doing anything, but you did something before. So when you are getting punished for something and you're in your righteousness, that's a blessing, because that's counting for you. That's counting on your behalf, because you should have been punished while you were in your wickedness. But what we do, we burn that up by complaining. I didn't even do nothing. You know, I'm keeping your commandments and you let this happen to me. Oh, well, no, count that as a blessing, because he's trying to stack up stuff in your behalf, just like a lawyer goes before and gets his defense when you're being accused of something, because you're going to go against the big accuser when it's your time.
I remember when I was younger, one of the first greatest hatreds I had that I was able to articulate, probably like at 7 years old. I remember in my youth having this gross, immense hatred for getting in trouble for something I didn't do. I mean, I don't think there was anything I hated more than that. And I remember it to this day, the burning in my heart. Like,
blame for something you didn't do.
I remember like in my stupidity at 7 years old, I just remember like that, because my sister used to tell on me a lot. And I remember the pit in my soul.
Right.
I remember the hurt. I remember going to school and the teachers would ask, what is something that you don't like? And I would raise my hand up. I hate being in trouble for something I didn't do.
Right.
And over time, it became a theme. You know, like there was nothing that would get me out of my element more than being accused for something that I did not do.
Right.
And it was like a huge weakness, because it was like I would lose complete composure. I'm about to fight. I'm about to like wild out if I'm about to suffer for something I did not, you feel me, commit, or being blamed for something. I hated it so much. If I didn't know no morality, the one thing I knew is that I did not want to be blamed for something I did not do. It was just this immense, irrational hatred of it. But as you come into the word, you begin to not even coming into the word, it's just over time, just as maturity came, you realize, man, this is something that happens. Like, sometimes you don't even have the words to defend yourself. You just fall under condemnation, and it happens so much, you just like submit, and you realize like some stuff was just not in your hand to deliver yourself from. And one of the main testings that always happen now, and probably a bunch of people have this testimony, somebody lied on them at work. And like everybody has it, and they're like, I didn't do this thing. And I used to sit back and like think like, so this is a thing. Like this is something that, and like one of the main manifestations of the enemy, I could always know, like when somebody comes and this person lied on me, it reminds you of Joseph, what Joseph went through. When Potiphar's wife started lying, like he raped me, or he tried to
look, here's his shirt.
Like, yeah, he was like, what? I didn't. And this is a theme. This is something that happens to servants of Yah. You get accused for stuff you didn't do, and you have to learn to like humbly just submit, because we live in a world that's not level. It's a hill of iniquity, and the thing is that if you're not pushing to climb the hill and you just want to be neutral, you're just going to roll down the hill with everyone else. You have to push against the iniquity of this world. It's not set level for everyone to just, if you're just born, just going to sit and just be right. If you want to be righteous, you can just not put any effort to staying righteous. It's on a hill and it's on a decline, that anything that is not struggling to press toward Yah, and that's how Yah is winnowing out the wicked. Because if you're just gonna go with the flow of the whole world, you're gonna roll down into the pit like everyone else.
Shake it a little bit, and you're coming right down.
Yeah, you're coming right down. So part of this walk is suffering for things you didn't do. Yahshua did the same exact thing. And then when you look at your nation, you're going to have to sometimes take the responsibility of things that other people didn't want to take care of, especially if you care about your nation. So even in the case of interracial marriages, I know that's a big one. At the end of the day, our people and our men need to be cleaving unto our women in order to lift us up out of this mire and filth that we in. You understand? Because if they're good and abandoning and just going into other nations, our legacy,
what happens to our seed? It's going to die.
It just dies out. So some women as well are feeling pain that you didn't inflict on them.
Right.
Men as well. Some men are scarred in ways that had nothing to do with the women that they actually settled down with at the end of the day.
In their own homes growing
Their
up.
own homes. So it's only a mature thing to know that you're going to have to endure the sins of your whole nation. You're going to have to endure and work to lift everybody up. And if you're not going to deal with the filth and the mire of your people, any baby, what you had to wipe the butt. You got to change the diaper.
Right.
And you have to pretty much do the same thing for your people, or else the filth is just going to sit there and you keep running off. Let me just leave that there. Because at the end of the day, what's going to say? Your legacy is the filth. Because that's when people looking to see where you came from, is just filth. And there's no one there to like put away the uncleanness from among you.
Right. And the head, when the head suffers, the body suffers. The head is the covering. Mm-hmm. So the head is taking a lot of abuse because of what the body did. So the body going to suffer along with it, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4. Start back at verse 3.
All right. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 3. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest you be wearied and faint in your minds. Don't get discouraged when people start blaming you for stuff. It is what it is.
But you haven't even bled.
Mm-mm.
You haven't even bled yet.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the next verse.
Verse 4. You have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin.
These brothers got beat. They got killed. They got stoned. They got hung. They got all kind of things just to resist sin and to teach others to resist sin. We complaining about just not resisting the sin. Just like, man, just,
why do I have to resist sin? I didn't commit it.
Walmart closing on Covington Highway, and it's 50% off everything.
Oh, man.
But it's the Shabbat. This is just too hard, man. Mm-hmm. Let me go ahead and get that 50% off a bunch of stuff that I don't need right now.
Mm-hmm. If you faint in a day of adversity, your strength is weak.
Mm-hmm.
And have you forgotten the exhortation which speaks unto you as unto children? My son, despise not you the chastening of Yahweh, nor faint when you are rebuked of him.
Mm-hmm.
For whom Yahweh loves, he chastens and scourges every son whom he receives. If you endure chastening, Elohim deals with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chastens not? But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are you illegitimate sons and not sons. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our own flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live?
Now, that's one thing that black folks all got in common, is we'll sit here and talk about how our parents whooped the crap out of us, especially Jamaicans. Boy, I don't even know how I'm still sitting down right now with the whoopings I used to get. So we hail up our pops. Like, man, my pops had a championship. Them wrestling belts, them Floyd Mayweather belts. He had a belt like that for ass whooping. That's how good he was. So we give him all the respect and reverence because they whooped our behinds. But we mad when Yahweh scourge us and chasten us so we don't die. Forever die. Not just die in this earth, but forever die. So we have to learn these are blessings when he chastens us. When we do something wrong and we get dealt with, we have to change the way we think and say, this is a praise, Yah, that you didn't allow me to continue in this wickedness until I just died. That's a blessing. He loves us. At least we know, okay, you dealing with me like a son. You dealing with me like a daughter. We have to be trained to do that. But the flesh don't react that way. The flesh don't like that. And when we were kids, we didn't say, you know what? Thanks, Dad. My 7-year-old mind for whooping my behind for not taking that trash out. Man, a tear in my eye when I think about how he whooped me the other day. He loves me. We don't think about that. What's the thought process of a child? I hate him. I hate her.
I'm going to run away.
I wish she would die. I'm going to run. I'm never coming back. But I'm kind of hungry right now. But after I eat dinner, I'm running away. I'm never coming. These people hate me.
So stupid.
You're just stopping me from having fun. It's the mind of a child. And think of yourself when you are being chastened by the Most High. That's what we do. Man, this is some bull. Everybody does this. Everybody doing this. Why I got to be the one to get this, that, and the other? That's the love of the Most High. That's a true blessing from above. The adversary, the devil's the one who did it to you, because he's taking joy out of it. We didn't have to be enslaved like the way we got enslaved here.
He's a destroyer.
We were supposed to just be enslaved and punished. But the adversary, the devil, said, oh, no, you in my jurisdiction now. So he did much more. But what you think y'all going to do to all the things that were involved in our chastening, he's going to deal with that.
Retribution. Right.
Let's stop right there. Let's go to Malachi chapter 2. Malachi, and that's the last book of the Old Testament, right before Matthew. Right before we went into Babylon.
In your youth, you hated chastisement, and then as you walk with Yah, you understand that chastisement is part of the walk. Mm-hmm. And then stuff happened, and you just be like, you know what, I'll eat that one. Mm-hmm. You know, you just be like, all right, I'll endure that one. That's true.
I worry when I'm doing the wrong thing, and I know that I'm doing the wrong thing, but I'm too weak to do something about it, and I'm getting away with it. That's when I start to worry, and that alone will cause me to not do it. Like, you know what? How I'm just able to do this right now without, this is a setup, and there's some cameras. This is candid camera. Mm-hmm. They got cameras around here. There's no way you're gonna lie. Yeah, you're gonna allow me to just sit here and lie. Yeah, you're gonna allow me to just transgress your commandment. You ain't gonna do nothing. Oh no. Y'all might be tired of me. He might be through with me. My sin line done went to my credit report. I done got too bad.
The sin credit report.
My sin credit report done got so bad. I ain't even gonna get approved for anything now.
Ain't no grace left.
You know what I'm saying? I done ran out of grace. He just gonna let me do this till I die. That's how we should feel if we getting away with wickedness and nothing happening. Because that's what happens to the world. But see, the world thinks they getting away with it because they not understanding the chastening. They blaming that on the adversary, the devil, the Satan. Man, you were a transgressor. Yes, Satan physically did that. That's just like Yahshua physically was the author. Was the one that created this stuff. But Yahweh get the credit. He was the one that authorized that. He was the architect for all this stuff. So yeah, we want to blame Satan because Satan, came here and it caused us to cry. But Yahweh is the one that allowed that to you because of your transgression. Either the transgression you're doing right now or a transgression you did before. So would you rather get judged by the law or would you rather perish without the law? Malachi chapter 2. And let's start this at verse 1 because Yah is fed up now. Now he's dealing with these priests.
And now, O you priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, says Yahweh of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already because you do not lay it to heart.
So you can transgress, and he will curse your blessings. Curse your blessings. The thing that was supposed to be good for you is now a thorn in your side. The stone that was supposed to be your foundation has now become your stumbling block. The stone that was supposed to give you foundation so when the rain came and the storm came and beat down, your house stood still. Instead, that's the stone that's stoning you to death. That's knocking you out. Your blessing has been cursed because you refused to hear the commandments. After you said, I do. All those things I will do. Go ahead, brother.
Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it. And you shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, says Yahweh of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for fear wherewith he feared me.
The reverence he had for Yah.
And was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity.
So this is what's supposed to be coming out the mouths of the kingdom of priests. Go ahead.
For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of Yahweh of hosts.
So when you are dealing with the priest, that's what's supposed to be coming out his mouth. This knowledge, the law in his mouth. And that's what's supposed, it didn't say if you want to hear knowledge and law from his mouth, then at that time that will come out the lips of the priest. No. That's supposed to come just like when you breathe out, carbon monoxide is coming out. I don't care what you want to do. That's coming out. That's the same thing that's supposed to come out of your mouth. Carbon monoxide and the laws and knowledge should come out your mouth. But we want to cut stuff on and on. It don't work that way. This was our what's the word? Your job.
Reasonable.
No, not just, what do you call your
occupation?
Your occupation. This is our occupation.
Career.
This is our career. Knowledge and wisdom and law out your mouth. Not just Levi, a nation of priests. Bless you. Verse 8.
But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yahweh of hosts.
So if you the person that's supposed to fix something, and instead all you do is come in here and break something, what is the person that hired you going to do?
Fire you.
To write you up and punish you and do all kind of things because you're doing the opposite. It's bad enough not to do anything at all.
Unless you're a federal employee. I heard they don't fire nobody.
They shut down, period, right now. If you're a federal employee, you're worried about how you're going to get paid. The government shut down. But it's bad enough, just if you ain't going to do something good, just don't do nothing at all. At least you ain't going to damage nothing. But instead, you're doing the opposite. You're destroying.
Verse 9. Verse 8. But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble. And that's terrible for the priest, the one that's leading the people, to cause people to stumble out of the way.
Right.
But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yahweh of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as you have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law.
So this is what he did. He took the Levites and he made them the basest of Israel. Because you were the one that approached closest unto me. Closer than the kings. Closer than the royal tribe. You the ones that go to the most holy place. King David don't go behind that veil. Only the son of Aaron, who was the son of a high priest, goes before inside the veil. So this is why he dealt with Levi. So he will curse your blessings. Levi was supposed to be our blessing. The blessing that, hey, when we messed up and we did what we did, then we came to Levi and they did this animal sacrifice for us and we were hurt because we had to give our baby little lamb that we raised up. That, Daddy, no, don't do that. No, don't kill the lamb. No, I'm sorry. Daddy lied. Daddy transgressed. Da, da, da. Now we're supposed to remember that. But instead, now it's been a curse to us because now we like, sweetie, go grab 2 of them lambs over there because I'm about to go sleep with the neighbors' wives. Now we done cursed. Our blessings have been cursed because we lining up sheep and lining up stuff because instead of saying, no, I'm going to repent. No, I'm just going to pay this price to do wickedness. Just like one movie I saw when he was talking about, I forgot what movie it was, but the dude was like, yeah, I done sinned, I done did this. He said, well, yeah, you gotta pay. You gotta pay the whole. We're gonna have to break me off $250 when you done slept with this woman. Oh, you did that? Oh, she was a married woman? Oh, that's gonna cost $500.
Wow.
And he taking the money. And he said, well, what do you do when you sin? Well, shoot, I pay myself.
Oh, wow.
That's what the dude said. And this is just a mockery of exactly what happened. Let's stop right there. Let's go to Lucas chapter 13. And we're just going to read a few verses in there. Luke chapter 13.
Yah's anger was kindled with all the nations because of their abominations that came out of their idolatry.
And the other nations, some of them you can't necessarily blame for the idolatry because Yah sent evil angels to lead them away. So they had somewhat an excuse, even though you still going to pay for the price because you had a choice. You still had free will. Just like Israel got free choice to choose to follow righteousness or to follow wickedness. They have the same choice. I can follow wickedness or I can follow after righteousness. But at least they had an excuse. We saw the glory of the Most High. We feared, we trembled. Lucas chapter 13. And let's start this at verse 22. Actually, you know what? Let's start this at 32. Verse 31, excuse me. Verse 31. Luke chapter 13, let's start this at verse 31.
The same day there came certain of the Pharisees, saying unto him, Get you out and depart hence, for Herod will kill you.
And Herod was the king of Jerusalem, or the king of Israel at the time, and he was an Edomite, straight up Edomite. So you have the Romans who were occupying us, who would have Herod, a person from another nation that hates Israel, leading us. And that's what we got going on right now. We have somebody leading us of a nation of people that hate us, being a king over us. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, Go you and tell that fox, Behold, I cast out devils, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and the third day I shall be perfected. Nevertheless, I must walk today and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet perish out of Jerusalem. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which kills the prophets and stones. And
you see the difference between a servant of the Most High, where he's saying, look, man, I know this man want to kill me. I'm going to do good deeds today and tomorrow and the day after that. But what does the sluggard do? Oh, you know, I can't do, there's lions out there. Mm-hmm. There's a lion out there today. Oh, there's a lion out there tonight. They got all kind of excuses. Again, you haven't strove against sin to blood. Go ahead. Repeat that.
Verse 34. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which kill the prophets and stone them that are sent unto you. How often would I have gathered your children together as a hen does her brood under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is left to you desolate. And verily I say unto you, you shall not see me until the time come when you shall say, Blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahweh.
All right. So like we just read, I will curse your blessings. The blessings that were there, we caused to curse because we refused to listen to the commandments. So these prophets, you know, the Mashiach, the countless servants that were sent to us, we kill them, we stone them, we push them away. Now, nowadays, we don't have these prophets. Now, I haven't met any prophets. People like to use that title, but you saying stuff that's already been said. So that don't mean prophecy to me. But just say the normal people that speak according to these commandments. That's what we do to them when we tell them, hey, you know, the Sabbath day, honor the Sabbath day, it's the seventh day of the week. They want to stone you and kill you. They don't want to hear that. That was a blessing in their life that you happened to come across a servant of Yah that had enough spirit to come and tell you, hey, bro, that's not right. You heaping up death unto yourself. But what we do, we curse our blessings. Let's go to Yeshayah chapter 5, Isaiah chapter 5. And then we have one more for the conclusion. Isaiah chapter 5. Yeshayah or Yeshayahu chapter 5. And we're going to start this at verse 1.
All right, looks like everybody's there. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, And he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Yehuda, judge, I pray you, between me and my vineyard.
And these wild grapes, those are poison berries. That's what that is in the Hebrew, poison berries. This is supposed to be something that's supposed to be good for your heart. Wine, the antioxidants and all that. Instead, poison berries is growing, things that will kill you. Go ahead.
Verse 4. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and shall break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Yasharal, and the men of Yehuda his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry.
All right. So the Most High blessed us, and his beloved, let's say Yahshua, planted this vineyard, and we are the vineyard, the children of Yasharal. And it's supposed to be this blessing, this beautiful, glorious thing unto him. But instead, poison berries is growing out. Again, like with Levi, instead, you're supposed to be helping the people. Instead, you causing them to stumble. So he's going to have to destroy that blessing and curse that blessing because we decided not to be a blessing, a true blessing from above. All right, now let's go to the conclusion. Zechariah chapter 8. But because he's perfect and he's merciful, he's going to restore us back to these blessings, but it's going to go through the process of us getting back to living and acting as a blessing and acknowledging true blessings from above and rejecting the blessings of the adversary, the devil, just like Yahshua did. If you got to transgress the law in order to gain something material, that is not a blessing from Yahweh. Not at all. We're fooling ourselves. It's the lust of our flesh that makes us want to believe that. And we'll find all kind of ways to justify it. Well, I'm going to transgress a whole bunch of laws right now to get me where I need to be. And then when I get there, I'm going to return in the latter end and start doing righteousness. No, you're not. No, you're not. Why you can't do righteousness with nothing at all? Like the poor person. The poor person, that's why you say the poor person blessed, because he got to do righteousness without getting all this type of stuff. If he's gonna do righteousness. Zechariah chapter 8 for the conclusion, and let's start this at verse 1.
Again, the word of Yahweh of hosts came to me, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Thus says Yahweh, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of Yahweh of hosts, the holy mountain.
And for Jerusalem to be called the city of truth, Jerusalem got to be in Jerusalem. They calling a place Jerusalem that ain't even Jerusalem. So we know that ain't the city of truth because it ain't Jerusalem. Go ahead. Now you're going to have a sign say city of David that way, Mount Zion that way. What? Make a left. Which way? That way. That's the adversary of the devil. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in my eyes, says Yahweh of hosts? Thus says Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will save my people from the east country and from the west country, and I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim, in truth and in righteousness. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, let your hands be strong, you that hear in these days the words by the mouths of the prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of Yahweh of hosts was laid, that the temple might be built. For before these days there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beasts, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. For I set all men, every one against his neighbor. But now I will not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days, says Yahweh of hosts. For the seed shall be prosperous, the vine shall give her fruit, and the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give their due. And I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things.
So the blessing is going to return. It's going to return from the poison berries back into those grapes, those big, beautiful grapes that they talked about when Yahshua, the son of Nun, spied out the land and said, man, they got grapes the size of somebody's head. Those type of blessings will return unto us. Go ahead.
And it comes to verse 13. And it shall come to pass that as you were a curse among the heathen, O house of Yehuda and house of Yasharal, so will I save you, and you shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, as I thought to punish you and your fathers provoked me to wrath, says Yahweh of hosts, and I repented not, so again have I thought in these days to do well unto Jerusalem and to the house of Yehuda. Fear you not. These are the things that you shall do. Speak you every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor. And love no false oath. For all these are things that I hate, says Yahweh.
So these are the things that we have to do to return unto being the Yah's vineyard again, where we are producing good grapes and not producing these poison berries. Go ahead.
And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor, and love no false oath, for these are the things that I hate, says Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh of hosts came unto me, saying, thus says Yahweh of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th, shall be to the house of Yehuda joy and gladness and cheerful feasts. Therefore love the truth and peace. And
when you look at the history of these things, of the fast of the 4th, the fast of the 5th, the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th, there was some very stressful issues that happened to the children of Israel. If you get time to actually look through some of the study notes, these were times when we were attacked by Babylon, and times when we were attacked by different countries where we were about to be extinct, and we got together and we fasted because we were about to be wiped off this earth. Now these things are going to be turned into gladness and cheerful feasts and love and truth and peace, because those things that were about to cause us to be killed off was a blessing in disguise, because that's what it took. That's the only reason we were listening and returning unto Yah, is because we're like, Yah, these people finna wipe us off the planet. You gonna allow this? What do we need to do? Let's get together. We keeping the Shabbat today. Go ahead. Verse 20.
Thus says Yahweh of hosts, it shall come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities. And the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go speedily to pray before Yahweh, and to seek Yahweh of hosts. I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem, and to pray before Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Yehudam, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you.
They have heard that Elohim is with us. Emmanuel, all is with us. They have heard these things because now we are receiving the blessings. Nobody gonna say, man, why are people not saying Elohim is with us right now? Because they don't understand what true blessings are. Us getting our behind whooped is a true blessing. That's how we just read that. Those he loves, he chastens. But the nations don't have that understanding. So they looking at us like, oh, you accursed people. You accursed people. But when we start walking in the blessing, walking in these commandments, now we start to receive all the blessings and the things that might be material that can now be a blessing in our lives. Whereas before it would have been a curse in our lives to receive some of those things, like a nice house and being in charge and not having these problems. Now those things will be a true blessing, and the nation will say, man, we heard Elohim is with you. Furthermore, while we're being raised up, the rest of the world is being destroyed. So they're saying, man, these group of people not being destroyed. We going over there to Yahweh of hosts. We going to Jerusalem because we have heard Yahweh is with these people because they're not getting destroyed. So we have to learn and properly distinguish the difference between true blessings from above and the blessings that the adversary, the devil, wants to give us. And the blessings he wants to give us is to keep us away from life, to keep us away from salvation and repentance. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? Go ahead, Elder. And don't put it on mute when you're off, because it's the phone we're using.
Yeah, I think today was a good class, but there's one thing I want to ask a question about that people need to also look at. This is a good class to bring this verse up. So we're talking about blessing of Yah, and then when we first started off, people was talking about blessing highly favored, and don't understand what that means. So I want to bring up Revelation chapter 22, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, blessed are they that do his commandments,
Mm-hmm.
that they may have right to the key of life,
Mm-hmm.
and may enter into the gates into the city.
Mm-hmm. For without. Mm-hmm.
And this is the one that, I started on this to one brother I knew, and it kind of changed his whole mentality because he called me up, we had a conversation, he said, I asked him how he was doing, because he was ill, and he said point blank, but I'm blessed and highly favored. And I said, how is that so? And he looked at, on the phone, he's like, well, what you mean by that? And I said, well, I'm going to tell you like this, bro. I'm going to read the scripture, what that said.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked, now, how does this compare to you being blessed and highly favored?
Mm-hmm.
And when he heard me tell him that, he stopped in his tracks. And he knew me from way back when we was kids.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew I wasn't trying to hurt him or nothing like that. But us as priests, as brothers, are supposed to say what's true,
Mm-hmm.
not go along with the master's belief.
Right.
So when I told him that, I explained to him, I said, my brother, I said, Yahweh said, keep the commandment.
Right.
Yeshua said, keep the commandment. He says it in John chapter 14, in chapter 15, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's saying it, it is written in red, and we're not being taught to keep his commandments, how are you blessed and highly favored?
Right.
By who? And he had to think for a while. I said, brother, I never realized what that meant before, as you just told me. He said, I blew me away when I told him, and it's like, I said, we have to realize what's coming out of our mouth, what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Take into account the words and what they mean. And when we do that, then we realize what the Bible says, that no, if we're not doing Yahweh's will, then we are lying. When we say that we bless and highly favored, but about who's doing this?
Right.
Who's blessing us? So it kind of changed his mind on certain things. So I brought it up because we make too many mistakes in that, following the ways of man.
Right.
Because it sounds good, and nobody wants anything told to them that hurts their feelings. That
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to feel like they're in the mix.
Right.
They're within the group. They don't be cast to the side or walking by themselves. You understand? Because we never taught really how to walk by ourselves.
Right.
We look in the scripture. Then you walk, and Yahweh is always walking with you, but you're not walking alone.
Right.
So let Yahweh exalt us, and we will be blessed by following his commandments, doing his will.
Right. Right. Because like we just read in Hebrews chapter 12, Yah chastens who he loves. So if he not chastening you and you allowing you to get all these great things, that ain't no blessing.
No.
Because he's not stopping you, and you getting gifts and increasing, that ain't gonna make you know what, I done got rich and I've been doing all this wickedness. Let me stop doing wickedness. No, you're gonna say, let me get more riches by doing more wickedness. Any last comments?
Well, this word is really for Yah's glory at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. When he manifested a lot of his wrath on the nations pre-flood and after the flood, you see that the rebellion that they had was they refused to retain knowledge of Yah in their hearts and in their minds, and were intent on keep creating these idols. So at the end of the day, when Yah was doing these things and blessing them and giving them rain in due season and making the fruit of their womb abundant,
Right.
you know, blessing their children, increasing their families, and then they go and then they praise Baal and bow to the piece of wood. And he's like, what?
Right.
Like, Yah is jealous for his name. So then he set aside a whole nation. Like, look, y'all not going to follow the rest of these nations to try to erase my memory from off the earth because of their ignorance and their intent on erasing his name, you know, taking his name in vain and not preserving his Shem. And even if they were doing what was righteous, if they were attributing it to a false god, they've defiled it. And Yah's like, look, I like what you did, but you're not about to do that to my name. You're not about to defile my name like this. So I'm going to set aside my children, and I'm going to give them a law, and I'm going to give them some set apart times and appointed seasons for them to come unto me and build a reputation for my name, and stop praising the creation and not instead of giving me the glory that I deserve. Because yes, it's nice to do nice things, but at the end of the day, Yah wants to make sure, are you rich towards works for him? When he went to that rich man and was like, the rich man was like, I'm going to build my house even bigger to hold all my fruit. He was like, you fool.
Right.
Because tonight your soul is required of you. And what do you have toward me? What do you have as a ransom for your soul that it shouldn't be destroyed? You know, what do you have as weight before me?
What treasures?
Instead of all this glory of your treasures, make sure that you're rich towards works of Yah. Make sure that Yah is getting the glory through your life, and don't try to diminish his name or let it fade off in the mist or replace it with some other idol. Yah wants the glory for his name, and that's how we can maintain those blessings as well.
Con. All right, let's go ahead and end in prayer. All brothers and Brother Andrew Beckford, Shabbat Shalom, he commented that he's glad to see the increased awakening. However, he feels there's still some misguidance. For example, there's not enough emphasis on Yahshua, who's come to fulfill the laws and commandments of the Most High. And one important thing he's talking about here is fulfilling the laws. We have to understand what that means. To fulfill the laws means to make more complete. It don't mean he did away with anything. And there is a lack of focus on Yahshua and a lot more focus on teachers, or a lot more focus on, camps and Hebrew communities and things like that, and less focus on the Yahshua and the example that he set for us to continue walking in, as a blessing to our nation and the rest of the nations. Hallelujah. Again, all brothers will move their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem. Elder Mikhail, can you go ahead and close us out in prayer, please?
Our Father, most holy and true covenant, Elohim, Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov, we give thanks and all praise unto you, Father, because you are a righteous, sovereign Elohim, Father Yahweh. You lead us into the right path, Father Yahweh. You lead us into righteousness, Father Yahweh, because we have none of our own, Father Yahweh. It's only imputed unto us, Father, by your will, Father Yahweh. We give you thanks and praise, Father Yahweh, for allowing us, Father, to hear your holy, mighty word, Father Yahweh, to worship you and give you glory, Father. Thank you, Father Yahweh, for teaching us your truth, Father, of your word, Father. We pray that it embraces our heart, Father, to let our heart grow, Father, in your will, Father Yahweh. And we pray, Father, keep our hearts soft and married to receive your word, Father Yahweh. And not our hearts get hard, Father Yahweh, because we can't receive anything with a hard heart, Father Yahweh. We give you thanks and praise for your chastisement, and we pray, Father, that you not chastise your so hot displeasure, Father, but in your mercy, Father, toward us. We give you thanks, Father, for allowing us to have this ministry, Father Yahweh, to teach your word, Father, in this truth, Father. So we ask, Father Yahweh, that all who listens, Father Yahweh, may have mercy by your Father Yahweh, to receive your word, Father, and be doers of your word, not just hearers of your word, Father Yahweh. Give you thanks and praise in Yeshua's holy and mighty name. Amen.
Amen.